All right, hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Pikey Podcast, coming to you from Austin, Texas, where it's ACL Fest weekend, and the weather just absolutely gorgeous. I'm Rob Jaskuba, alongside Clare's own Connor Nalen, and so be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us here at the Pikey Podcast. We welcome your feedback, and you can also catch us on Twitter, as some of you have, at Pikey Podcast. Connor, how you doing?
Very good, no, very good. A little bit stuffed up with my allergies, but yeah, all is good. We multiplied there in Twitter followers there today, which was great. Up to 10, I think.
That's exactly right, yeah. I just checked right before we went on. 10, yeah.
Look, excuse me. If we get 10 every day, sure, look.
I'd say
there won't be no space on Twitter.
Absolutely flying it so far. Buff Egan, you better watch out.
Watch out, Buff.
So we got lots to discuss today. We've got midweek Champions League action. We got some big Premier League fixtures ahead, including Man City heading to Anfield. I'm sure you have some thoughts on that. Some good NFL games this weekend. We got a marquee matchup in the UFC. Lots of GAA talk. We got hurling. We got football. We got new management in Cary. We got some big fixtures in the Clare Senior Hurling Championship that I know we're going to talk about. We've got all sorts of things to say, but we're going to start in the second tier of English football. Where else would you begin but Aston Villa? Steve Bruce, he's out. He's had a terrible week, Connor. It all started on Tuesday in the run-up against Preston. Got a cabbage thrown at him.
Look, you know your days are numbered when you get a cabbage thrown at you. It was like the vegan version of the pig's head being thrown, really, wasn't it?
I know. I saw Marcelo Bielsa, the Leeds manager, was very unimpressed when he heard about that. He's like, I'm from Argentina, they'll throw way worse at you than a cabbage. He didn't seem to think it was a big deal.
Seemed a little bit soft to him. Just called the Birmingham Metropolitan Police there, and they confirmed to me that it was a Savoy cabbage. Yeah.
We're doing the deep digging here, the fucking strong journalism here on the Pikey Podcast.
I think the local fruit and veg stores need to have a good look at themselves. Like, you can't be just selling cabbage to anyone now in this day and age.
Well, I'd say you need to be taking an ID, writing down the names,
passport,
limiting the amount per week as well. One head of cabbage per week per family.
Yeah, where are you going with that cabbage?
I definitely had a little run-in checking out of a grocery store once when I was younger. Had a dozen eggs, and the police officer coming through the line behind me said to me, those aren't going to end up on anybody's house tonight, are they? Absolutely not, sir. And so we were just making a big cake. Didn't buy that one for a second. They ended up on Stephanie Foley's house. So sorry about that, Steph.
Yeah, sorry, Steph.
Yep. But anyway, so yeah, Villa, 1-9. They had back-to-back draws. Took a late Yank Balassi equalizer to even it up with Preston in midweek. They've been called boring by their local press, said they have no identity. Lots of money coming through that club. Some big names playing there, especially for the championship. And Steve Bruce had to go. Third straight year down at that level. Newcastle bounced straight back. At Villa, they seem to be stuck there. They've had some money issues. And, well, there's some interesting names being bandied about there for the Villa job. Thierry Henry, who's never managed anywhere. I think that would be a terrible idea. First job coming in with that much pressure. I've heard John Terry played there last year. Big Sam, don't know if he'd be wanting to take that step down. To me, he's a Premiership manager. Dean Smith from Brentford. Mick McCarthy says he wants the job. I've even heard rumbling that they're going to go and try and buy out Rafa Benitez at Newcastle. Don't see that happening either. But we're looking at the table here in the Championship, and you see Villa there, 13th place on 15 points, but Con, you pointed it out. From Rotherham in 19th, 19 points, up to Brentford in 6th, 17 points. That's a tight league, and whatever they do, they're going to have to do it fast.
Yeah, I think now is probably the right time to get rid of him while they're only a couple of points off the playoff position. They have a good squad. Bit of money spent. There'll be a bit of money there in January. The new owners wanted to bring in their own man, and I think now is the right time to get rid of him.
Yeah, Tammy Abraham especially is going well. I thought that was a really good signing for them. He played decently well enough for Swansea last year, and he's just outstanding at that championship level.
Grealish with a new contract.
Yeah, and lots of talent in this league that we were saying. And at the top, there's 3 teams on 22 points. You got Leeds, you got Middlesbrough, and you got Sheffield United as well. And you said it yourself, Connor, what a distinct difference in styles between the top 2 sides there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Darren Randolph has had much work to do for Middlesbrough. I think it's your typical Tony Pulis team. Park the bus, long throws, get it from back to front as quick as possible. And Leeds are just the complete opposite, and they're great to watch, and I hope they go up.
I do as well. Be a good side to have back up in the top flight. Here's Huddersfield, Bournemouth, some real titans there, in the top flight. Yeah.
What's the point of them, really?
Yeah, Middlesbrough, the Smoggies, they're playing that Pulis ball, but they have my favorite striker in the second division. That's Britt Assombalonga. Twice sold £15 million. Got a real nice winner in midweek. They've got some good players there. The former Liverpool man Daniel Ayala is playing very well. Agricultural defensive style would suit his very limited game as well. 8 clean sheets for Darren Randolph so far. He's not had much to do, and no surprise, he's in the Ireland team this week.
Yeah, I think he's a bit untested going into international duty, really, isn't he?
Another team that I've enjoyed seeing this year, they knocked Newcastle out of the League Cup, and that's Nottingham Forest. They have a strong team. They knocked Stoke out of the same cup in midweek. Eider Karanka, another good defensive manager, European pedigree. They're very well drilled, and they're kind of doing a little baby Wolves. They're bringing in some Portuguese talent. João Carvalho had a great free kick, and the reason why I bring them up is Daryl Murphy. He's looking strong. He's just back from injury. He's got a quick first step. He's got 4 goals on the season, and he's not gotten the call for Ireland.
It's a disgrace, really, isn't it? When you have a guy of that quality.
The quality of Daryl Murphy cannot be denied. We'll go into the Ireland team later, so I'm going to get all fired up about him. I love Daryl. He had his 1 goal in 30 caps for Ireland. How could you?
What a goal.
Otherwise, in the championship, you got Norwich City, Canaries. They've won 5 straight. West Brom, they're scoring for fun. Dwight Gale's there on loan from Newcastle. And he is spinning around, fellas. He's going mazy runs. He's scoring some brilliant goals. Championship's definitely his level. Really kind of showing the difference between the Premier League and the Championship there. And they've got a pretty leaky back line there, though. Kyle Bartley, other stiffs like that back there. And Frank Lampard's Derby County, you hear a lot about them, but they're sitting here 8th place on 17 points. And they had a good bit of news today. The Chelsea loanee Mason Mount, he got called into the England squad.
He's a good player.
Yeah,
I've watched a bit of him. He's a really good player. Him and Harry Wilson, 2 class acts. A little bit lightweight, but they're good players.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he gets in the team there. You don't see that too often. But we're going to mention another one later. We're going to talk about David Nugent. He's going to play a part in this podcast as well. We're really covering all the superstars today, Connor. It's no wonder the listener base is just multiplying by leaps and bounds.
Darren Murphy, Nugent. Who else is in there?
Well, we got to talk about man who got the call for Wales, Tyler Roberts, a young man for Leeds United. And he's going very well. Scored a real nice winner on Tuesday. He's got a toe injury, and he's trying to keep his place. They've got some injuries there, Leeds, but they are just flying at the top of the table. They're going to look to keep that spot at the top through the international break. And Marcelo Bielsa, he's kind of got that Rafa Benitez thing going where what's he doing in the second division? What he's doing is managing rings around all the other managers in that level.
Yeah, he is. When you listen to the likes of Guardiola and people like that, they're Pochettino even, they love Bielsa and they all learn from him. But the only thing with Bielsa teams is they tend to fade away towards the end of the season because he's so intense and he wants so much from his team, so usually things tail off. But you never know.
I was reading about some of his training sessions there being very physically demanding and tough, especially going in, day out. He's expecting a lot, 100% effort every day on the training pitch as well. So that's tough to maintain for a 9-month season. All right, so I'd say that's enough of the championship. I'd say we've got that one well covered. Probably some of the most thorough coverage of the championship that you're going to hear anywhere. Big fight this weekend. Conor McGregor, he's back in the octagon after 2 years, challenging for the UFC lightweight title. He's going up against Khabib there, and I've just about had enough of Conor McGregor myself. I don't know how you feel about him, Conor, but I was all in on him. I really enjoyed the bit of pro wrestling that he brings to the old fight scene, but I'd say he's just about worn out his welcome for me.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago he did his first pre-match press conference or whatever you want to call it, and the language was absolutely atrocious. It was embarrassing, really, to be honest. And I've had enough, to be honest. I've absolutely had enough. I don't really care if he wins or loses, gets hammered. It's just has no bearing on my life.
And they're saying that's going to be the potentially the biggest selling fight in UFC history. Well, whatever. I'd say that's the top of the mountain, and it's going to be a bit downhill from there. Khabib, I was watching the old video that surfaced a couple years ago, wrestling a bear when he was 9 years old. That's some proper Russian toughness right there. In his tracksuit, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah, McGregor was giving out about his Chechenian links. I'd say if you asked McGregor to point out Chechnya on a map, I'd say he'd probably point out Kilmaley or someplace like that. Rich from a man that was sitting beside Vladimir Putin at the World Cup final, to be honest.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. What's your thoughts on the fight itself?
Fight itself, I'd say McGregor, if he's going to win it, he's going to win it standing up, and he's going to win it early, kind of like that Jose Aldo fight a few years ago. Boy, we'll get to that story at some point in this podcast. That was one hell of a night with the hurling all-stars in town at the Market Bar. Weren't allowed back in there for quite some time. But anyway, yeah, I'd say if McGregor is going to win that, he's going to win it standing up, and he's going to win it early. Khabib struggles a little bit with the boxing, and I think will totally outclass Conor if it goes down to the mat and gets into a wrestling.
Everything I've read and listened to, that's what they've said. He's going to win it boxing, striking as they call it, and if Khabib is to win it, he'll win it on the ground. So I've listened to stuff, read long articles, listened to some podcasts, and every one of them have spoofed on for an hour, but basically that's all they came up with. Look, I think there's a lot of people hoping that McGregor wins and has another few fights, because there'll be a lot of people out of work in Dublin from spoofing and doing podcasts about McGregor and writing articles. And listen to the press conference there today. I don't really. How do these people get media passes to go in? Like one of the main topics was whiskey. You know,
nothing wrong with that, but like, what's that doing in a professional fight press conference?
Yeah, no, I don't know how these people get jobs and get into press conferences like this.
Conor McGregor barely showed up for that press conference. Khabib was there on time, answered questions for 15 minutes. McGregor hadn't turned up yet, so Khabib left.
Yeah.
He'd fulfilled his obligations, didn't need to stay for anything more, so he walked out. Dana White was left sitting there by his lonesome for a few minutes until McGregor finally showed up. And I don't know if that's probably McGregor just trying to play his usual mind games, but just looked like an absolute joke doing that. Nobody thought it was funny.
No.
It was just an inconvenience for the writers, and didn't really succeed in working on Khabib at all, because he's a bit thick, which I like, and he's simple, and he's like, I'm here, I answer my questions, I'm gone. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. McGregor actually did show two touches of class actually in the press conference.
Go on.
For a change. About 1,000 non-touches of class, but he thanked Dana White for everything he's done for UFC, which was nice to see. And the spoofers in the media were comparing McGregor to Muhammad Ali there during the week, I heard, and he downplayed that, which was I didn't think he would do. He said he's not a patch on Muhammad Ali, which I don't think anyone in their right mind would think he is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody with proper chemical balance in their brain would disagree with that now.
His use of the word or the phrase "ask me bollocks" or I couldn't give a bollocks. I'd love to know what the Americans thought of that. What's a bollocks?
I'd say that the McGregor's success has really expanded the vocabulary of the fight writers, and I've done a bit of writing about boxing in my day, and it wouldn't be the most eloquent of the journalists anymore. The fight game is not exactly the top tier of the journalistic standard these days. For Dana White, anyway, he's got to be real excited for his pocketbook. That's going to make a lot of money. That's going to sell a ton of pay-per-view. I'm sure we'll be out there at the pub with the boys on Saturday night, yelling our heads off and giving Concrete Cowboy plenty of business. Yeah. So, if from that standpoint, great for business, but how much longer is that cash cow going to keep going? I suppose we'll see.
Yeah. Won't affect my life, and I don't think it's going to affect yours either.
No, I'd say not. Well, let's get back to soccer. How about it? I think we've said everything that really needs to be said about that fight. He might win it. He might not. Who knows?
Who cares?
Wins for all four Spanish sides in the Champions League in midweek. And I think the stars of the show, no surprise, really, Barcelona. And the real star of the show, Lionel Messi. Brilliant.
Yeah, what a player.
Absolutely.
Dictated play, scored 2 goals, hit the post twice. Some of the stuff he was doing was outrageous. He's a pleasure to watch, really.
Luis Suarez set him up for both those goals as well. A couple tasty nutmegs from him.
Yeah.
But really, just magic from Messi. And, Barcelona, they never really looked in trouble at Wembley. They went out there, big Champions League night. Boy, everybody on that squad's played 50 times in that kind of atmosphere. And, Harry Kane got another goal. He's going very well. I'd say that's 3 in his last 2 for him in all competitions. But I think you also liked, was it Archer in the middle of the park for Barcelona that you were impressed with?
Yeah, he's a very good player. Reminded me a bit of Xavi, actually. Very good in tight positions with the ball. Never give the ball away once. He looks a class act. I think he's only 21, 22. Cost about 30 million. I think he could end up being an absolute steal.
But and isn't that something when you're saying that about 30 million pound? That's
loose.
Even in the last 10 years or so. Newcastle's record transfer 16.5 million. Michael Owen 2005.
Yeah,
still hasn't been topped.
Yeah, Michael Owen with one hamstring as well.
Yeah, he was well past it by that time, and he was flying back and forth to training via helicopter. So he was staying at the Cheshire stables where he lives, with his horses, and didn't even stay in town. Which I'd say we'd have differing opinions on Michael Owen in general. Different set of memories there. But speaking of Liverpool, didn't manage a shot on target after all that talk we did about them on Monday. Not their best showing, and Lorenzo Insigne with the last minute winner.
Yeah, they deserved it really. I think they shocked Liverpool by the way they set up. Usually they play a 4-3-3. They played a 3-5-2, and it took Liverpool forever to get to grips with that, and I don't think they even did. Only for Joe Gomez and Alisson, they would have been out of sight by half time even. Joe Gomez is unbelievable, and he's probably been our best player this year. But Napoli are a good team. They may cause an upset to PSG in Napoli as well, but I still think PSG and Liverpool will get out of that group.
Yeah, and from what I was reading as well, the common consensus after that match was Ancelotti, he's still got it. I thought he played the tactical masterclass, and Jurgen Klopp, he's got Pep Guardiola coming to Anfield this weekend too. He's got to go right back to work, and he's facing 2 real strong managers. I think it's a real good test of his mettle to be having to butt heads with those 2 back to back as well.
Yeah, they really can't lose that game, Liverpool. It'd be interesting to see if Pep how he sets up. Will he go 3-5-2 or 4-3-3 or something? He usually pulls something out of the bag, something different. And I think Liverpool don't adjust too well to that. We need Salah going better. We need Mane going better. We need Firmino going better. It's actually our defence that's pulling us out of these games between Alisson, Van Dijk, and Gomez. They've been rocks really. I think our left and our right back teams are getting in behind us too easy, and I think that's where the weakness is.
I thought Van Dijk was outstanding the other day against Napoli, and boy, he's some player. He's really got just the complete package, Virgil van Dijk, and what a purchase. Makes £70 million look like a steal, really. Liverpool a bit shaky, the league form. You look at it, won 6 of 7, but winless in 3 in all competitions. With the 2 Chelsea matches and now this with Napoli, it's a big one for them. Kind of out of nowhere, a week ago they're absolutely flying it, and now all of a sudden they're staring potentially a 4-match winless run in the face. And I think we got some questions on that. How are they going to adapt? But they won this fixture last season 4-3 at home. A real shootout, one of the matches of the season in the Premier League, and I think we're in for another classic myself, and I think there may be a few goals in this one.
Yeah, I think it could be a shootout. Although the last time I said that on this podcast, it ended up being 0-0. So what do I know?
And we'll get to that because it was the man that mentioned Liverpool was Kevin McNamara. He coming in with the feedback hot and heavy, and he also had some thoughts on Jose Mourinho. And there's a man we spent plenty of time talking about the other day, and boy, pressure building up on him. And I snoozed through that match, 0-0 draw. That was absolutely terrible. And United, they maybe controlled the first 20 minutes. Marcus Rashford, he looked well at the start, and then towards the end, Lukaku headed over late. Fellaini had one deflected wide, but otherwise they didn't really look too strong at all. And we mentioned Francis Coquelin. If he's controlling that game, United are in trouble, and that's exactly what happened. He went in the book, but otherwise was one of the strongest players on the pitch for both teams. Batshuayi had his looks, couldn't fire one home. That was just a real snoozer at Old Trafford. And now Newcastle United are going there this weekend and winless. But I'm saying that Jose Perez is going to get 2 goals, 2-1 Newcastle win.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah, you did. I think Rashford gets one back for Manchester United.
Consolation.
Yeah, consolation late. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, Mourinho, he's in trouble. And he's still, even in the middle of the week, he's giving out about the players. He's, throwing them under the bus again. Paul Pogba, he was just completely anonymous in the midweek.
He, all the players he's rumoured to have fights with, he picked.
Sanchez,
Valencia, Pogba, Eric Bailly. He was like, go on, there you go. You have your place. Show me what you can do. And he was justified, really, in lacking faith in them, to be honest.
And we're talking about Manchester United here, and we mentioned we were talking about Liverpool, some of the feedback we got at Pikey Podcast on Twitter. Be sure to follow us there, and we're happy to take your questions anytime. Kevin McNamara with some excellent queries here, and he had some thoughts on Jose Mourinho. Says Mourinho's days numbered massively. You'd wonder why he doesn't allow the team to play an attacking style of football, considering the players at his disposal. Fair enough. He let the likes of Duff and Robin be a very attacking side at Chelsea. Now Mourinho seems to be very defensive anywhere he goes and has very little interest in attacking. Can he coach attacking football anymore? Conte or Zidane will be in very shortly. He certainly seems very defensive in more ways than one. Connor, your thoughts?
I don't think he ever really coached attacking football. I think he just organised the defence, and I think he just let the offensive players do their own thing. That I listened to Graham Hunter one day, and that's what he said. He said he just organised the defence, and he just let the likes of Ronaldo, Benzema, Ozil at the time do their thing. At United, he doesn't have a solid base. At every other club he was at, he always had a solid base. Like his Porto team, he always had a good spine. Victor Bailly in goals, Carvalho, Costinha, Deco. At Chelsea, Cech, Carvalho, Terry, Makelele, Lampard, Essien, and Drogba up top. Great spine to work with, solid base, and plenty of goals there. Inter, Julio Cesar in goals, Lucio Samuel, Zanetti, Cambias on the middle of the field, Snyder pulling the strings, Melito and Etu. At Real, Casillas, Ramos, Pepe. As I mentioned before, Ozil, Ronaldo, Benzema. Then the last time he won the league with Chelsea, strong spine again, Courtois, Terry Ivanovic, Matic, Fabregas, Costa. He just organised the defence, and when he doesn't have good defenders to work with, he doesn't trust his defenders, so that's maybe why he doesn't go all out attack. I think the modern game has left him behind, to be honest. He went 3-5-2, I think, against, who was it against at the weekend?
West Ham.
West Ham. I think he's about 2 years late with that one. I think he just basically pulled that one out of their arse, I'd say. So I think he always had a strong spine, and he just let the likes of Duff and Robin do their thing. Always had plenty of goals from midfield as well, with the likes of Fabregas, Lampard, all them guys. So I think he's the game has passed him by, and I think the international management maybe is his go-to now.
That's a criticism that, as a Newcastle supporter, that we're hearing leveled at Rafa Benitez about the game passing him by as well. And his plan B, when he has one, is also the 3-5-2 as well. So I hear what you're talking about there very well. And so what we're saying is, Victor Lindelof is not the answer. But, these are players that Jose bought. Yeah. And he's had plenty of money to go out and build his team. He didn't replace Valencia or Luke Shaw, out on the flanks. And he has, Lukaku up front, and, we've got Rashford, Martial, Sanchez. You'd think these are some excellent attacking players, but as we say this, none of these players play in the middle of the park.
Yeah, he was given up about a lack of creativity in the middle of the park, which I think was a bit of a dig at Paul Pogba. But then again, he plays Matic and Fellaini in the middle of the park as well. So, what do you expect? Why doesn't he give the Brazilian guy Pereira a go? He's an up and coming player. I think he's a good player, good passer of the ball. Maybe one of Fellaini and Matic with him. But you can't play Fellaini and Matic in the same team. What do you expect?
ignorance.
Yeah, and lots of it, and ignorance just isn't working these days.
No, and you know, I look at that team sheet for Manchester United, and you know, they just have so outstanding players. He's getting absolutely nothing out of them, and you know, has the game passed him by? It sure looks that way. And
yeah, I think his race is ran. I think, no, he could prove me wrong, but he won't.
Yeah, and we'll be coming back to Kev McNamara again too. It's not the last we've heard of him on this edition of the Pikey Podcast.
Very inquisitive, our Kevin.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, a little more Champions League talk. CSKA Moscow, big win, defeating Real Madrid. They get an early goal, second minute, and the tie kind of fizzled out from there. Where was Karim Benzema? Yeah. He was on the pitch. He was in Moscow. He was there. But for a man that really needed to step up this year, absolutely nothing there. And you know, they're looking a bit shaky after Barcelona came out and had that outstanding performance. You know, looking like the class of Spain at the moment.
Yeah, I never really had faith in Benzema. I'd never, especially as Ronaldo's replacement or as a guy that had to step up to fill Ronaldo's boots. But look, that's a terrible result coming off about 3 bad results in a week. And look, if he has another bad result, the manager, he could be looking at the chop. That's how things work in Real Madrid. And
I was reading as well that some people consider him as a type of man that falls upwards. You know, coming from Portugal and then falling up into the Spanish job, and then all of a sudden, Madrid's calling on the eve of the World Cup, and you know, boy, winning the lottery there, getting that call without too many trophies in the trophy case either.
Yeah, I suppose it was a position he couldn't really refuse. If he'd pour as a World Cup with Spain, he was never getting that Real Madrid ever again, probably.
No.
So, can't blame him. He's going to get a big payout, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'd say his pocketbook won't be hurting too much.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be just fine.
And speaking of Spain, the only Europa League result we'll mention today is Chelsea 1, Vidi, the Hungarian champions, 0. Alvaro Morata, he was listening to us, came out, scored a nice goal, played very well, hit a post as well.
Yeah, I'm
against the Hungarian champions.
Look, that could be the catalyst. He could go on and score a lot of goals now. Hopefully he is. He seems like a nice guy, and so I hope he goes on and scores a few goals. Just not against Liverpool.
Time to go back to Kev McNamara and his questions, because it's time to talk about the international game. Irish squad's out today, and Kev asks what we think of Martin O'Neill's comments about Declan Rice, and he thinks that O'Neill's days are numbered. What manager would want the Irish job now, though? No attraction to it at all. I agree with him on that. So O'Neill today, he was saying that Declan Rice, he's given him some time to make a decision. Sky Sports, early in the day, when I woke up and first checked the headlines, was saying that he declared for England. That proved to not be the case, and Martin O'Neill says, we're giving Dec some time to figure out what he wants. I've talked to the family, blah, blah, blah. No decision's been made on his future. He's been left out of the Irish team, but also, of course, you know, not in the England team, hasn't filed any paperwork or anything for changing his allegiance. Fair enough comments. I'd say he'll play in the slow game there instead of going out and telling him he's the prettiest girl in class.
Yeah.
It'd be the way to keep him around if he's going to keep him around.
Yeah, I think he's going to let this one, well, if it ever will die over, but I think he's going to be wearing an England jersey sooner rather than later. I think it's obvious, I think.
Yeah.
If he's going to play for Ireland, I think he'd be in the squad. But I think there could be a lot of paperwork to do, actually, with a transfer like that, an international transfer like that, and I think it could be going on behind the scenes. So I think Southgate has probably promised him not to pick him straight away, but he'll gradually introduce him into the England system. Like, he's only 19, so he'll play for England.
Yeah, and Southgate, no problem calling up players. You know, he called in Mason Mount today.
Yeah,
so he's definitely going to be.
Sancho from Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah,
I've seen a bit of him. He's a class player. He left Man City very young. He's, I think, the top assist in Europe, even though he's only started like 2 or 3 games. And he's a class act. He's exactly what England don't have: bit of guile, bit of cleverness on the ball. He's not Jordan Henderson. He's not Eric Dyer.
I'd like to see them call in Will Hughes from Watford. There's a player I really like to watch a lot. He's got a bit of that technical flair to his game, and you know, a little bit of a luxury as a player. But I think he would add something that they really don't have right now in their team.
Yeah, they lack a bit of brain and cleverness, and they've got the basis of a good team, but they just need that X factor, we'll say.
Yeah. like that. And as far as the Declan Rice situation goes, I hope they're not having to fax the paperwork over to Pat Fitz at the Clare County Board. Because, boy, that was a bit of a nightmare, getting you transferred over here a few years ago. A lot of fax machines involved in that in 2016.
Look, the less said about the Clare County Board, the better. I think they're still in the dinosaur age. I don't think they have a fax machine, actually. I think they're still...
I actually think that was the problem. They didn't have a machine to send over the paperwork to Croke
it's
Park.
a farce. Don't get me started on that. Those vegetables.
Speaking of vegetables, the usual litter of Championship and low-level Premier League cabbages in the Ireland team. Harry Arter, he's back in the side. He's apparently kissed and made up with Roy Keane, who's then gone and called modern players crybabies as a whole today. He's had some very spicy comments. A decent bit of punditry there from him, but, as you mentioned, if you put him on the whole game, maybe not so much, but I thought he was actually fairly entertaining today.
Yeah, he does give entertainment. Like, as far as breaking down a game, though, like as a tactical battle or whatever, I wouldn't like to. Like, if he was on Monday Night Football with Gary Neville and Carragher, I think he'd be completely out of his depth. I think he's a good lad to rally the troops, I would say.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that he's going in there and the assistant manager of national side there with his way of breaking down the game, because I'm sure, at a job like that, you're watching a lot of film, you're breaking down a lot of tactical stuff. I have a hard time figuring out what he adds to their international setup there.
He's the type of lad that'd be like kind of smashing teacups off the side of the walls and breaking hurleys off the bench and all that kind of stuff. I think that's his role. I think in the whole thing.
So we look at this Ireland team here. John Egan getting the call. Happy to see him.
Yeah.
I think he's a player with a decent bit of potential. And Richard Keogh still getting calls. He's not gotten out of the championship yet, but he's still getting the international call every time.
Very honest.
Yeah, Colm Kelly is a fan of his.
Yeah,
plays a very ignorant type of game, headstrong, and he's a real Colm Kelly, a big fan of his. Matt Doherty, as you mentioned the other day, he's getting a call there.
Yeah, let's just hope he starts, because he's probably the best player in that squad.
He could be. It's definitely not Kieran Clark. His form's fallen. He's got a goal in the league already this year, but he's kind of taken a step back a bit.
He was horrendous against Wales.
Yeah, and he's been horrendous for Newcastle as well. And Greg Cunningham, speaking of horrendous, not looking so hot with Cardiff. And look at the middle of the park here. Where's the creativity? Richie Towell? Like, Conor Hourihane, I don't mind his game, but he's fine. But, he's not doing a whole lot there at Villa. David Myler, he was talking about quitting football altogether and going home to try and make his father's Cork hurling panel as recently as August. James McLean's there to go and break somebody's legs.
Yeah, typical. You'll get your blood and thunder out of James McLean. Run down the wing, cross the ball. That's about it. He'll put himself into a few tackles.
Hates
the Queen, James.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He won't be wearing a poppy, I'll tell you that.
No, there'll be no poppies. He'd wear a cabbage, I think, before he'd wear a poppy.
Looking at the forwards here, not much talent here. Shane Long, not done much of anything all season, and a pretty limited player himself. Going all the way down in the League One to call up a forward here, Ronan Curtis from Portsmouth.
Yeah, he scored a few goals, I think, in League One, but it's League One at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think he's a bit of promise. We've 3 strikers from Preston.
And they just scored 3 against Villa to knock Steve Bruce out of his job, so at least they're putting some goals in.
They're putting some goals. I think they're pretty far down the pecking order in the championship.
Oh, they are rock bottom, level on points with Ipswich.
Yeah, and we have 3 strikers.
3 of those strikers are heading into the Ireland camp.
Oh, God, that sums it up really, doesn't it?
And we were talking about Ipswich the other day, so I went and looked to see what their supporters were thinking, life post Mick McCarthy, because it wasn't, with Mick, you're guaranteed you're going to finish somewhere between 7th and 15th and, play a pretty dire type of game, but you're going to get your results. And now here they are, only not bottom of the championship, only on goal differential. Supporters are happy. They like the football they're playing, and they're happy to be in a relegation fight because they're saying at least it's interesting. I thought that was a fairly ignorant statement by their fans, but also they said only their 19th manager in their history. They're a proper old club as well, and they've just had that long tradition of keeping their managers, so I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah.
Not very ambitious anyway. Millwall, they're third bottom, 7 points. They're not too bad, and I think I saw a Millwall name in the Ireland team as well. Sean Williams.
Yeah, Sean. Was that the guy that scored against Poland?
He is the one that scored against Poland.
Good goal.
Nice goal as well.
He's actually not a bad player.
Poland, their team, a bit of a crisis at the moment, real identity crisis. There, a lot of infighting in their football association. They actually make the Ireland FA look well run at the moment. They got a lot of factions and cliques going on there. Real big disgrace in the Poland system. But Ireland, yeah. Well, sure. Look, Darren Randolph's going very well in goals, so maybe they won't be giving up too many goals. And
Duffy is. At least he's playing Premiership football.
Fullbacks should be all right.
Yeah, we seem to create a lot of right fullbacks.
Yeah.
Between Cyrus Christie, Matt Doherty, Coleman. We always have Finnan, Gary Kelly, all those guys, like whatever it is about right backs. But we've no problem with right backs, it's just the rest of the team.
I've never minded Jeff Hendrick, and he's playing all right for Burnley so far this year.
He's okay.
But he's okay. That's really all you can say about him, though. Another player spent a heap of time in the Championship, and there's always a strong, Burnley, Derby County, Brighton type presence in that Ireland team.
You have Coleman to come back in there, and you've Robbie Brady to come back in, and the great Johnny Walters.
And he's still out hurt right now, I think, Johnny Walters, and hopefully be coming back and hitting some form. As far as the management side of the Republic of Ireland goes, I agree with Kev. O'Neill's time's just about up. But we talked about the other day, who is there? The man who I'd really like to see, and he won't be leaving Brighton, but Chris Hughton, I'd like to see him manage Ireland at some point. He seems to get on real well with everybody that he's ever managed, and will do a good job with bringing the team together like that over the course of a week or two, and plays pretty simple tactics as well that wouldn't need the mastery of a long camp to put together. I'd really like to see him one day, but sure, he's going pretty well right now at Brighton, and I don't think he'll be leaving that job anytime soon, especially if he keeps them up again. I think as long as they're staying up, he'll have that job. But absolute gent. I've always liked Chris Hughton.
Always comes across well in press conferences, and all the managers on the sideline with him, they never have any beef with him, so he must be fierce sound.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing Simon Grayson was talking about last year how much he likes Chris, and said, well, if you're getting praise from Simon Grayson, must be doing pretty well, because he's not too far off the Sam Allardyce school of grumpiness. Finally, why no call for Daryl Murphy? He's healthy. He's quick. He's putting him in for fun at Forest right now. I want Daryl Murphy back in that Ireland team. 1 goal in 31 caps.
It's a joke, it really, isn't it?
It is.
We were crying out for quality, and we've a guy like Daryl Murphy, and he's not in the squad.
34-year-old Daryl Murphy. He still looks well, though. That man is aging very well.
It must be the lack of goals, I think. He's not too stressed about scoring goals.
I didn't realise here that it was Glenn Whelan that missed a penalty in the Villa-Preston draw the other day, where Steve Bruce lost his job.
Well, like when Steve Bruce got Glenn Whelan to come to Aston Villa with him, like, he obviously didn't want to get promoted if he's getting the likes of Glenn Whelan.
That's a very good point.
There's a man that does absolutely nothing.
That's a very fair assessment.
Stands in front of the back four and does a bit of pointing, bit of shouting. Not so much football.
He makes for a good photo the next day, to put on the back page of the newspaper. Of him pointing. Yeah. Maybe a bit of rain coming down, best look for him. But Con, I think we've exhausted the Ireland squad here. There's not too much more to say about that bunch of spoofers. But we got a request to talk about the rule changes in the GAA. Was that Kev McNamara again that was asking us to discuss
No, Ciara Murphy, I think. Ciara Murphy. Spud.
It's always good to hear from the boys back home.
Chairman of Kilmaley Hurling Club.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. He's actually on holidays now at the moment. I hope he's enjoying himself.
Who was the fellow that I was dealing with when you were switching over? He was a very nice.
Owen O'Malley would be a cousin of Ciara Murphy.
Very, very nice fellow.
Good lads.
Well, great lads out in Kilmaley. Really.
Great bunch.
Yeah, the worst one I've met, your brother Dermot.
And look, we exported him a long time ago.
He's been here for a long time, journeying up America anyway. So, lots of news around the GAA. New Kerry manager Peter Keane is in. He's won 3 straight minor championships. I was actually there for one in 2017. That was all David Clifford, sure, with the big ball. He's some player, especially at the minor level in 2017. He owns the Super Value in Killarglen. That's his claim to fame there. And he spent 3 years managing Killarney Legion, and we actually play the big ball with a fellow from that club, Anthony O'Sullivan, his home club, that he used to manage. But the big thing going on in Gaelic football anyway are the 5 new rule proposals. And I think the boys are having a bit of a laugh at your nous with the big ball, but I've played enough football with you over the years. You are fairly competent with it. You know your way around it, and sure, it's a bit simple of a game, isn't it?
Look, if you can't play a game of football, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's the whole pile to it. You catch the ball, and look, if you don't kick it, you don't have to. You just hand pass it off to the next fella.
Well, and that stems right into rule number 1 of these proposals, and that's to introduce a restriction of 3 consecutive hand passes. I think that should be about 5. I'm not necessarily against the rule though. Bring a bit of kicking into the game, because sure, you can see a whole game of Gaelic football and the only kicking is the scores going over the bar and the kickouts.
Yeah, I think the rules themselves are actually great rules, great idea, picked by intelligent people. They promote catching and kicking, which is should be the main pieces of the game. Like, it's called football. Like, we already have 2 games called handball. We don't need a third. People are giving out because they're saying it's trying to be too much like hurling. Why are they giving out? Like, hurling's great. If they want to be like hurling, let them be like hurling. If there's more scores, let there be more scores. But the 3 hand pass rule, I think it's actually a good rule. Look, they could have extended it to 5, but like, hand passing is not really a skill. Most people actually don't hand pass the ball right. Like, you never hear anyone saying, "Jesus, that was a great hand pass, wasn't it?" You could have just actually literally thrown the ball. I think this rule is gonna find out a lot of people.
I think the exact same. I think a lot of players are going to be found out.
They're going to be found out. Like, they're going to panic. If they're next in line to kick the ball, they'll be like, "Oh shit."
I think specifically it's bad news for 2 sides. I think it's bad news for Tyrone. It's bad news for Cork as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
but Cork's having enough trouble as it is.
I think any rules would be bad enough for Cork at this stage. But we played the Nationals final. When was it? Start of September. I actually don't remember kicking the ball, which is I was wondering why didn't I enjoy this game? I was like, oh yes, I didn't actually kick the ball, which was a bit of a farce, to be honest. I think football is too easy to play. Like, we've American people coming down playing with us. They say, "Oh, what's this game? What's this game? It looks easy. It looks fun. It looks easy. Like, it shouldn't look easy."
I'd say the hardest skill is been in the back to pick up the ball and the solo, and those are the only 2 skills.
You don't
that
really have
as
to.
American, you wouldn't have gotten from somewhere else. Everything else you picked up in basketball, or even a little bit of soccer. Like, if you played a year of goalie playing soccer, you've got Gaelic football. You're fine. And I would agree with that. Yes, and I do like the bit of kicking being introduced in the game. I think it makes for a prettier game to watch anyway, because you watch some of this stuff like during the league on GAA Go, get all excited. Oh boy, it's a new season, new inter-county matches, and there's no one kicking a pass the entire time, and it just gets a little dreadful.
Yeah, it's a terrible watch these days, and it's too easy to play. So that's a good rule. Number 1 is a good rule.
Yeah. Rule number 2 was the sideline kick, that it should be played in a forward direction, encouraging attacking play. I'm fine with that. Sure, I'd say there's not too much controversy with that.
No, like, there'll be lots of shots from sidelines. You'll see some great scores. You'll see a lot of fisted goals into a lot of balls in the mixer.
A lot of balls in the mixer. Full forward, the bomber myself. I'd enjoy that. Yeah,
fast play. Actually, these rules, like, you'll be a hot commodity these days.
We'll get to that with rule number 3 here, and that's the mark on balls played from outside the 45. Into the square, caught, inside the 20-meter line. You call a mark. And I've played a bit of Aussie rules myself, and we do the international rules tests every summer with our local Aussie rules club. And this is the one rule that I don't like of the bunch, which you'd think would suit me well, because you catch the ball, you get it free, pop it right over the bar. No bother. I got John O'Dwyer teaching me how to slice the ball over outside of the boot. But to me, that makes it too much like the Aussie rules game. It slows it down a bit, too. More whistles is never the solution for me.
Yeah. The thing with this rule is you can play on. So if you don't fancy the kick, you can play on. So you have people moving off. you'll create goal chances. I think, but the thing is as well, if the defender catches it, he has a mark too, so it'll encourage the defenders to practice a bit of high fielding, which will be good.
And that is a good skill as well that you don't see used too much. And from what you were saying too, then you'll have to kick it away as well. If you catch that high mark in defense.
Yeah,
I do think that we saw with the kick out last year, with the mark coming in, a lot of players not taking the mark, and whether or not that was a strategic thought or just the way they've always played. The muscle memory is there to just play on after you've caught the ball at midfield. I think we'll see a lot of that where fellas will just play on a fair bit anyway.
Yeah.
Unless it's late on, there's a point in it or something. Take your free.
Yeah, as long as people don't feign injury after they catch the mark. Oh, my hamstring's tight. I think you'll have a lot of bottlers in front of the goals, and I think it's a good rule as well.
Yep, and rule number 4. So this one, definitely not making it more like hurling. The sin bin.
Yes.
Coming in, bringing it into Gaelic football, and 2 yellow card infractions or a black card gets you 10-minute sin bin. One of the controversial things about this is you get up to 3 yellow cards now. You get extra yellow. I think that might encourage some cynical play. They're saying it's to remove a bit of the cynicism by bringing in this sin binning. I worry that it might have the opposite effect by giving players an extra infraction. You get a black card, you're not off.
I think the wording of this, what is cynical play? I think if they have to get that right, what is cynical play? I think the sin bin is good, for cynical play.
In theory, sin bin's good. Yeah, I agree with that.
10 minutes, take a break there, good man.
Yeah.
But 2 yellows will always be a red to me. 2 yellows should always be a red. I think the best way to punish teams for cynical play is punish them on the scoreboard. You see basketball, cynical play, you get a free throw, maybe 2. Aussie rules as well. Yeah. What happens there? You think you bring the ball forward?
Yeah, it depends on the seriousness of the infraction, but up to 50 meters you can get. And that's half the pitch.
Yeah, punish teams on the scoreboard.
Yeah. 5th rule change here, the kick-out rule. 2 players from each team positioned between the 2 45-meter lines. And there's a few other bits here about positioning. And the kick-out, maximum of 6 players behind the 45-meter line until the ball is kicked. And this one, I think this one might be the first one to get scrapped. Linesmen have enough work to do already. There's just too much to police with so few officials on the field. Who's standing where for the kick-out when you're already watching the kick-out to make sure it's gone far enough. You're watching for jostling and foul play in midfield. This could encourage a lot of foul play off the ball.
Yeah, there could be a lot of jersey tugging and stuff like that. How they're going to officiate this now is the main problem, because I think the rules are actually good, but it's how you're going to enforce them is another thing. With this rule, I think it's going to stop players getting behind the ball. It's going to make for a more open play, more high fielding. You're going to have a mix around midfield. You might have one big lad, one small guy running off through wings to get the loose ball. The other guy then is going to wander on top of him. I think there'll be a good mix. Like, you could have 2 big fielders against 2 small lads, and I think it's going to be good. What could be absolutely mad here is the breaking ball.
The breaking ball.
You're going to have 2 lines on the 45 ready to go in after that breaking ball. There's going to be someone killed here. It's going to make for great viewing.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a fair bit of handbags going on the run up to that too. A lot of elbows flying around.
Yeah,
and again there too, though, that's another thing for the referee to be watching too. He's going to need about 4 eyes there.
The likes of Paul Galvin would have loved this.
Yes, absolutely.
Getting in around the break, and it's a pity Donaghy's gone now.
Yeah.
Donaghy could have been going between full forward, midfield.
He'd love the mark rule up front, because there are very few men that catch a high ball like
he should make a U-turn, shouldn't he?
I wonder how his fitness is. Maybe his ankles are falling off or something. But he would be perfect for this new set of rules.
Yeah.
And I actually think one thing that the Aussie rules does, that if you're going to be bringing in all these new rules, that Gaelic football would benefit, and hurling as well, from having a second referee on the pitch.
Definitely.
They do that in the Aussie rules just because they're playing on cricket ground. It's so big. And with the way hurling moves, and now if you're going to be policing so many things with Gaelic football, I think the addition of a second referee would be big. Ice hockey does that as well with the NHL. And that comes down to the pace of the game. And I think Gaelic games would stand to benefit, and I wish that they would look at that myself.
Yeah, definitely. And the linesmen, you might need 4 linesmen or something like that, 2 referees or something like that. You're going to have to, your 4 officials going to have to become more involved. But yeah, I think the rules could be a success. They're going to be tried out for the league. They're not going to be ratified for the championship this year. There's no harm giving them a go. It's going to bring a bit of buzz to the league. Like the only people giving out about it really are the defensive guys, like or Rory Gallagher from Enna. What's he going to do now? He's going to have to think up a new plan. He can't just bring everyone behind the ball. The Carlo manager who has Paddy Tally, I think, involved with him. Just like these are all defensive system guys. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of coaches found out. A lot of spoofers are going to have to think of new ways to play the game. These coaches going around getting 100 euros a session. I think the people that actually aren't good footballers are going to be found out, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
But I think these rules need to be paired with a tiered championship. Like if you had Dublin with these rules going up against Carlow in a Leinster championship, they will absolutely eat them. Like they're going to eat them anyway, but they're going to eat them by more this time. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, who cares? It's not hurling.
I'd actually be with you on the tiered championship in theory. But,
yeah.
But what I don't like about the hurling with the tiered championship is you win the cup and you don't necessarily go up. You win the Christie Ring and you're not automatically promoted.
Yeah.
I would like to see a bit more movement between the divisions if you're going to do a 2-tiered championship. I think kind of loses incentive when you have to go through win like Kerry did a few years ago and win the Christie Ring twice in a row. Great accomplishments and all that.
Yeah.
But just to make it in, to the proper championship, only to get knocked out immediately as well. But it's a bit tough to ask when even if we win the second tier, we might not even get a shot in the All-Ireland.
It's a tough sell to these teams, really, isn't it? But if they market it right, they get the structure right, it could take off.
I'll tell you what's an easy sell for me, Connor, and that's this Clare hurling semi-final. Cameli, Cratloe. I didn't realise that Cameli, they've not been to a final since your heroics in the 2004 county final. That was the last time the Kilmaleys appeared there. So semi-final 3 years ago, relegated, back up, intermediate Munster final, and now here they are, big match, Cusack Park, going up against some serious players. Podge Collins, Conor McGrath. What are you thinking about Kilmaley?
Look, I think it's going to be a great game. First of all, you have some serious hurlers and all mobile, nippy guys, well able to hurl, well able to move. Some great hurlers. You've so many county stars playing there. Kilmaley have some great forwards. Derek Kane, Mike O'Malley, good solid goalie Brian O'Loughlin, Conor Cleary centre back, Colin McGowan full back, couple of good boys on the bench. Then Kev McNamara, one of our biggest fans. You'll have Joe Simey Carmody there as well, Pascal Carney. You've some serious firepower off the bench. But Cratloe, after pulling a few new guys there, a few guys from Artskull Reach there, for Harty pedigree, them like Conor McGrath, Podge Collins, as you said, Carl McInerney. You have Liam Markham. You have a few guys at the back with a bit of know-how as well, which never goes astray. But Kilmaley for the win.
Kilmaley absolutely cruised to the quarterfinal as well,
and a great price, 2-1.
And Mike O'Malley pucking over scores at will in the quarterfinal, from what I understand. Had 4 real nice ones from play in the opening half. Derek Keane's going to want to find the back of the net and not hit the post this time. Can't leave the chances going. Kilmaley 7 wides in the second half of that quarterfinals. It died out, in fairness. Only giving up 3 points as well, though. So tidy at the back. And, the question that Buff Egan will be asking, that I'm asking right now, is who's in midfield? With Conor McGrath out there, that's the man that, as a casual observer, would worry me from a Kilmaley standpoint, is stopping him in the middle of the park.
He ran the show the last day for them against the Bridge, reigning champions. So, like when you run the show against the Bridge, you know you're on form. He's going to take mark, and Kilmaley a very inexperienced midfield. I think maybe 19 and 20. So it's a big ask for them, but they're mobile. They'll get around the pitch, and hopefully they can stop him. I think if they stop him, they'll win the game. But I think they'll win in a mess.
And what a chance to make a name for yourself as well. 19, 20 years old, these fellas, Podge Collins and Conor McGrath, they're winning All-Stars and winning All-Irelands when they were not much older than that as well. So, maybe time for a new generation to come up and step up and take them down. And I'd love to see Kilmaley make it to the final there. And I'd love to see him play Ballier.
Yeah.
Get the local, get that in there.
Yeah, you'd have a contrast of styles there, I think. Ballier, big physical, a lot of footballers, a lot of know-how.
And they pushed around Aina Kilnamona. And,
they bullied them.
But that's not really a tough ask. I've met enough fellas from Kilnamona to know that pushing them around is no hard task.
Yeah, look, I leave those comments to you now. I'm not going to comment on that. The house could get burned down or something like that. So, look, that wasn't me, that was you.
No, absolutely. I will fully own up to that. A lovely cup of tea in Aina, though.
Yeah. In fairness to them, they do a lovely cup of tea in Aina.
Now, it's a lovely part of the world there, Clare. We'll always keep an eye on the Clare Senior Hurling Championship on this podcast anyway.
Just a few players to look out for on the Timber Cam. We're going to call it a new section.
Ah, yes.
A new section of the podcast, the Timber Cam. So we're gonna pick out who's most likely to do the most timber in these games. So I think in the Kilmaley Cratloe game, you'll be looking at cornerback Owen Enright. Just loves timber, like he just loves timber. He loves pulling. He's just a maniac, really. O'Callaghan's Mills against Ballier. I think another cornerback by the name of Joe Nealon. Famous move would be kicking lads up the arse. That's his go-to move. So look out for Joe. Then the Waterford County Final, Ballygunner against Abbeyside. Ballygunner going for 5 in a row, and the fullback Coughlin. He's the man to look on for with the Timber Cam.
I see, and I tried to make the case there for the dual goalkeeper Stephen Enright for that, because I'd say he'll be doing some of that as well.
Yeah, he likes a bit of timber, Enright.
It should be a great weekend in hurling. I think next week we'll be getting back the Limerick and the Cork Championships. They'll be going to their semi-finals. Should be some great matches there. But really, for me, this weekend, it's all about this Kilmaley semi-final this week, and that's the big one for me. And I'm real interested. I'll be listening on Clare FM to that one, and your man there, he describes a great bit of action, and I won't be missing out on the wireless. And that's on in Cusick Park, is it?
Cusick Park, the park as we like to call it.
Beautiful Ennis, one of my favorite places to go there, and got lost wandering the city centre there last year, but that'll happen. I get a bit lost here or there. Lost my rental car for about an hour and a half, but we found it again. We got there. Well, Con, I'd say we've covered it. I think. Is there anything else in the world of sport that needs covering? I think not.
I'm done.
We've talked hurling, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You can find us on Twitter at Pikey Podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we'll catch you next time.